because I can't, because I don't know how to find it when I record on my computer. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and talk about this really quickly again, so we haven't missed anything. So we're going to, dyslexia is a phonological processing disorder that affects the processing of sound in the brain. So kids add sounds, drop sounds, can't hold all the sounds when they blend, and they have difficulty connecting the representation, the letter, with the sound that you need to make for that letter. Alternatively, it's the other way. They know the sounds, but they don't know the letters that represent them. So that's actually called the phoneme-grapheme correspondence. And the thing I didn't say, which is probably good that we've gone back, is that in English, the vowels are particularly tricky for these kids because the phoneme boundaries are similar. A, e, o, a. So quite often, a sound the same to kids, e sound the same. O is generally pretty good. They don't often mix that up. And that's another thing related to dyslexia, is these things called phoneme boundaries are not so tight. So they're not clear cut. Kids get the sounds mixed up. The other sounds they mixed up, they get mixed up quite often, are the sounds that are made in similar parts of the mouth, but one's voiced and one's unvoiced, like p, and b, made in the same part of the mouth, but one is a popping p, and one is a voiced b. Another two they get mixed up are t, 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 and d, d, d. Quite often you have a kid write druck for truck.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, because it's the same sound, but it's made in a different part of the mouth. And because when we speak, we co-articulate, that means that we blend the sounds together really fast. So one sound turns into the next. So you don't get a clear idea of whether or not a sound is voiced or unvoiced. If you say truck, it sounds like the truck. It's because the is voiced. When you co-articulate, it can come out quite easily as a d. So that's why kids get confused. Ch and j is another one. Like some kids might write train, CH.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So what we do is we kind of demystify, because there's a thing in English called orthographic processing, and that's like the letter combinations that are legal and illegal. So CH or DR, druck. No, that wasn't a good example. You'll see some of the things that kids do, and you look at it and it doesn't look like it should be a word that the way we'd spell a word in English. So that the orthographic process is knowing, like looking at it and going, well, that's not how letters go together in English. That doesn't look right because it's an illegal letter string. Those strings don't go together like that. So we need to show kids, we need to point that out for them too. So word recognition is what we work on, decoding. So knowing the sounds, the letters, being able to blend them, phonological awareness, the ability to hear and recognize those sounds, and automaticity. Good readers need 4 exposures to a word to map it in their brain. Poor readers can have up to 100 required exposures before they've mapped it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it takes dyslexic kids, depending on the severity of their dyslexia, a lot longer to become fluent readers, and sometimes they never become fluent. English is difficult because, as I was talking about a second ago, we've got (26) letters in the alphabet, but 44 sounds. So then we have to start learning about the different combinations of letters and how they go together, and the alternative sounds that they make. TH has got 2 sounds. It's got that, the unvoiced, and the voiced. Then we've got 20 different vowels. So the vowels are problematic. The first part of the program, we just work on the simple code, and we teach each of the digraphs a few sessions apart. We're working on sounds from 3, from a CVC up to a CCVCC. Just purely reading and spelling with accuracy and fluency in a simple code. Then we start teaching them the rules, and there are a lot of rules in English. But if you can demystify for kids, got it, thank you. It's just telling me that the meeting's being recorded. So there's a video in here that's made by Alison Clark. She is a speech therapist, and it is the 44 sounds in English. So that's a good one to watch, because when we teach, we need to make sure we're using pure sounds, because if the kids aren't, we have to correct them.
Yeah.
Okay, the vowel valley. These are all the different sounds that we have for vowels, including these diphthongs down the bottom, the oi and the oi. Quite often we have beginning, middle, and end spelling choices. And when we teach them as such. So we only teach one at a time. We don't give them lots of different options at the same time. We teach them one at a time. We teach them position, sound, spelling for reading and for spelling, and then in sentence writing. So we go from micro, from sound to word to phrase to spelling, sound, word, sentence. And the same process is repeated over and over. And you probably saw that when you watched a session. That continues the whole way through the program. Every lesson is like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to talk, though, about the schwa up the top. So the schwa is the most common vowel sound in English. And the reason it's tricky is because you can't determine what vowel represents it. It's often in suffixes as well as within words that are more than one syllable. So I am going to write a word. So we've got 1, 2, 3 vowel parts in here, so it's going to be 3 syllables. Sep, rate. See how in the middle you couldn't quite determine what vowel you need for that syllable? That's the schwa. It's in heaps of words.
Oh, okay.
So if I've got the word button, we don't say button, we say button.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. Tinsel, we don't say tin cell, we say tinsel. That glossy bit where you just go straight across the vowel in the syllable and you don't stress the vowel that's there. That's the schwa.
Mm-hmm.
So we also teach about that. There's a video that I'll pop on down the bottom, a link to the video, and you can have a look at that too.
Sure.
Back to here. Okay. So this is the scope and sequence that we follow. You probably saw it in the office somewhere. The person, my mentor, the person who I trained through, and I'm one of his trainers in Australia now, is Ron Yoshimoto.
Oh, sorry,
Can you see? Let me reshare. Have your headphones gone?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they disconnected for some reason.
Of course they do. It's technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you might have seen the scope and sequence on the wall in the office or in people's teaching sections. This is the scope and sequence that we follow. So it's very structured and explicit in the way that we introduce and do things.
Mm-hmm.
Up the top here, this basically is the level 1 part of the program. That's kids from K to 2 generally.
Okay.
We start at CVC and then we go to CVCC, and there's a CCVC, and then we move to CCVCC. So all the lessons are written. You just have to learn how to teach them.
Okay, yeah.
So if you do a placement on a student and that student comes in at CVCC, like we'll talk about where we should start them, and it depends on how many letters they can hold, how fluent they are, how difficult they have a time with the articulation and distinction between their vowel sounds. We'll decide where to start. Then you'd go to the filing cabinet, the big one in the office, on the right side where the photocopier is, and you get the lesson that might be CVCC1. Then the next time you teach them, you'll be doing CVCC2 and 3 and 4 and so on until you get to the next set.
Okay.
So it's all the lessons are written all the way up to here.
Perfect.
You've just got to know the content, know how to teach it, and know how to cue and all the procedures that we use.
Yeah.
So this here sometimes we do NG, like we might start some older kids at NG because it's a phoneme, and sometimes they like to voice it, like they might say rung. So if they've got a problem with that, we'll start here, but then this is really where everything is a bit tricky. Level 2. So level 2 goes down to here. Level 2 is generally kids in year 3 and onwards. Even I did a placement on a girl who's 14 yesterday, and she's going to have to come in at level 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there's a whole bunch of information and knowledge about spelling rules and syllable division patterns that she doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to backfill, but it's not, you can't just start at level 3. Kids either come in at level 1 or the beginning of level 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The first 10 lessons in level 2 are fully scripted. So there's no mystery about how you teach it and what you need to say. Everything is written for you.
Perfect.
I'll send you a couple of those. There's another girl from Engadine who's also starting. She went to Bosco, but she's doing occupational therapy at uni this year. Her name's Hannah.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do next week, if we can, is get you, I'll send both you and Hannah a lesson each from the beginning section, and I'll get you both on Zoom, and I'll be on Zoom too, and you can do a lesson on each other.
Yeah.
And ask any questions that you've got, and I can give feedback and all that stuff.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Because ultimately I would like to start you from the beginning of next school term.
Okay. Yeah.
The problem is I'm away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
I've only got next week, but Tom's going to help out. So if there are any problems or got questions or you need any support, Tommy's going to help out. And you've got Oscar too, haven't you? Because you know Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're all really helpful in the office. And if you've got any problems, they will definitely give you a hand.
Perfect.
I've also got a couple of different teachers going on pracs. Well, Oscar's on prac for a block next term, and Georgia, who's doing speech therapy, is on placement 4 days a week for maybe 4 weeks. So we're going to need to fill some services as well. So yeah, from the start of next term would be perfect. If I could.
Sure.
So level 2.
Yeah.
So this is the scope and sequence from Ron. Ron he trained me, and I'm one of his trainers. There's 4 of us in Australia that do training in this method.
Okay.
So it's not a program, it's an approach, but I've taken the scope and sequence and I've written it into a program. It's got, get rid of that. We do the sounds and syllable division simultaneously. So I've written in, I put those, we've got a scope and sequence, which is coming next. It's got syllable division patterns alongside the sounds and the concepts we're teaching. And we also start to bring in morphology pretty early on. So morphology, prefixes and suffixes.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of rules that go with suffixing, not so much with prefixing, and we start introducing those on the 4th session.
Okay.
From CK. So this is the scope and sequence that I've sort of developed from it. I'm going to see if I can make that smaller though, so you can see all of it. Then I won't be able, no, I can't see a thing. So you'll see on here, up the top, that's where I've broken down that level 1 part of the program.
Okay, yeah.
There are actually more lessons than that. There's about 35 in there, but when I created this document, they were all the ones that I'd written. But I'm always expanding it because we get a new kid who doesn't fit the general mold, and they're a bit tricky, and I've got to do some extra lessons for them to get them up to fluency and competency.
Yeah.
So even though it's, like I said, it's a program that I've put together, it's always changing and being modified in little bits. And I'm adding, like at the moment, we've got a new boy down at the Carrying Bar office, and he's in year 9 and he can't read CVC words.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd written a program for a boy Tom had last year who was in year 7 at Engadine High, and he only knew 5 sounds. So I had to write a program for him, but this student is even lower than this other student was. So for him, I've had to basically take this program up the top that I'd written, which is a different one to this, and I've had to write additional lessons in each section to get him up to competency. So If
Yeah.
I give him to CVCC, he's got to be really solid with his vowels
Mm-hmm.
and his blending for reading and for spelling on CVC, and he's not there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm always getting feedback from people on how their students are going, and if I have to extend and write extra, we do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change is the level 2 part.
Okay.
That starts here and it goes all the way down to actually there. So there are 35 lessons in there. It's got a 1 and a 2. We only teach the second one.
Oh,
We teach all of these. So,
okay.
so CK, DGE, TCH, we've got 2 EDs. We teach both of those. Vowel consonant E, AOI 1 and 2. So this one, this one, this one, these 2, they're your first 5 lessons. We start suffixing in here with a spelling rule.
Okay. Yeah.
Then we move to a new syllable type here. And then it is scripted up to here. That's the end of the script. And by then, this bit is easy as pie to teach.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all the conceptual stuff that you have to learn, and you have to learn how to pass it on to your students.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In this document, you'll also see here, they're the syllable types that we're teaching at the time. So we're introducing closed and open syllables. So that's our point of cueing when we're teaching. If the kids have got a confusion over short and long vowel sounds, we cue them according to what we've taught.
Mm-hmm.
Down in this column, you've got your suffixes that we're introducing. And once we've introduced it, we just include it in the pool of what they know. Then down here, they're the spelling rules that go with suffixing. So the 111 rule happens in ED2. It's basically if you've got a weak vowel, a single consonant, and a suffix that starts with a vowel, that's the test that you have to do to determine whether or not you double your final letter.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it's all explicitly written in the lesson plan.
Perfect.
There is a lot to know, there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the procedures that we have in our lessons, we always start with the cards. So I have got a set of cards in my handbag for you. I'll drop them into the office, or I'll pass them off to Oscar or something. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you, I'm not going to send you, I'm just going to show you. I'll send it to you once we're done. So this is a computer version of the cards that we use. So we start with the cards at the beginning of each lesson. And that's basically priming the kids for what they're going to need for reading and spelling for that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to watch the video from Alison Clark and get really good at being able to use pure sounds.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes kids will put schwa sounds on the end. So if they go but, we need to snip it. But
Yeah.
what? Ooh, that's another one they schwa. They might say la.
Yeah.
That will affect their spelling. D, z, t, x, p, n, o. Now, in the first section, we're only teaching short vowel sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You've taught closed and open syllables. I'll show you what happens. So, o, k, s, yep, a, j. Spelling when we teach in the first lesson of CK, no English word ends in a J. Quit. Always together. Q and U are always together because they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
U likes to run off and have fun. In other words, U is a little bit of a floozy. Q is very needy and dependent. V, this is another one they often schwa. They'll say V.
Yeah.
Simple sound. V. Spelling rule. English words don't end in B. They're always followed by an E. So we ask these same questions every time we do the cards. Have, give. So when I'm spelling, English words don't end in B. They're always followed by E.
Mm-hmm.
G, if the child says J, it does say J, but we haven't taught that until midway through level 2. So you say yes. You're really clever that you know that. That's a complex sound, but I want you to give me the first sound. like in goat. What sound does it make in goat? Our sound is G. It. This is another one that's got two sounds. It's got the French sound. So if they say S, we want first sound. Really clever once again, but we're just focusing on our first sounds. So like in cat, what sound does it make at the start of cat? Our sound is K. Lots of kids will say yeah for you.
Yeah.
If they're not sure or they make a mistake, you give them a keyword, like in up. And the keywords are all on the back of the cards.
Oh, good.
The cards are out in my bag. Shh. Two sounds, f and th. Ch. Be careful they're not going ch.
Yeah.
Do. We want to pure up that sound. We want them to snip it, like in chip. Ch. Off for this one, put an I in front, ing, a in front, ang, o in front, ong, a in front, ung, like in sing, sang, song, sung. We don't do e because there are no English words that have eng. And this will be the first teaching point. So if you're doing your first lesson with a CK kid as your first one, that will be where you stop your cards.
Okay.
At NG. Okay, so we looked at cards. We only ask them what they've been taught. We don't teach them all the rules at the same time. Otherwise, they'll just get overloaded. And lots of kids with dyslexia also have auditory memory and working memory issues. So we're keeping it sharp, simple, and predictable. So first thing we do in lessons are the cards. The second thing we do, revision reading. So that's revising what we've taught previously. So you would have seen this happen with Oscar and Georgia. In CK, first lesson, there is nothing to revise because you haven't taught anything. So we have to teach something first. So I'm going to send, actually, I'm just going to send this to you right now by text.
Sure. Yeah.
The CK full script. And then I'll get the work on the screen. Complete sound slides. Nope, I don't want that. I want teaching program. Intensive lesson plans. CK full script. Send a copy. Okay, here it comes. That's the full script for CK. And then I'll also send you the work that goes with it. So if we're Zooming, we send the work out before the lesson when we send our Zoom code, and then that's what you'll see on the screen when we teach. I've got a CK and a DGE lesson on Zoom that I've filmed of me teaching, and I'll send you both of those when we finish up today.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. So I'm going to just go to here. This is what I just sent you, the first one. So this is the script. Anything in blue is basically stuff you need to cover. You can do it verbatim, or you can kind of introduce it, the bits that you think are important for your student. Because sometimes I have gone, what I basically did for this was I stood there and I typed everything I would say if I was teaching.
Yeah.
But sometimes I tend to over-explain. So for the kids that are like, they can't take on, we talked about the decoding and the phonological processing and the automaticity, and then down the bottom, the language comprehension.
Yeah.
It might be a bit too much for some kids in the language comprehension section for them.
Okay.
So it's okay to simplify it. It's just as long as you know your content.
Yeah.
So you'll see up the top, initial cards, and it tells you which rules we're going to cover, what we're going to introduce. So monitor all the sounds for the schwa. That was the l, m, n. That was all that extra bit. That's a snipping. Give them a keyword. Like in man, what sound does make it man? Good job, snippet. Like in lamp, what sound is it? Oh, perfect. And just the weak vowel sounds, the rules that you're teaching that they need to say back to you. No English word ends in V. It's always followed by an E. Do English words end in V? No. What's it followed by? E. You can write the words on the screen or the table.
Yeah.
You are always together because they're best friends. You likes to run off and have fun. No English word ends in a J when we're spelling. And the two sounds of TH, fin and them. So they're the cards. They should take you about 3 minutes.
Okay.
Then in the background, you can have this on computer if it's in the office, or you can have it on the screen if you're Zooming. We have to get this video ready. Now the video is down here.
Okay.
No, I just want to open it, please. Let me just highlight it. Aha. But I don't want to play it yet. I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to go back here. So this is when we're going to talk to kids about the complexities of English, because we're trying to make them feel that it's not their fault, because it's not their fault. Quite often the programs they've used at school haven't been that great. And even if they have used a program, they haven't gone into a lot of depth with it. So the kids feel that it's their fault when it's often not their fault.
Yeah.
If dyslexic kids are given good intervention and good teaching, not even intervention, but good teaching from kindergarten on, they can stay as average readers and spellers. It's when they're not, like reading recovery's got a lot to answer for. And I know that because I used to teach it. That's how I moved on to this, because literally teaching kids how to guess.
Yeah.
And you try and read a novel and guess the words, they get to year 3 and they can't, they just fall apart.
Yeah.
So this is the stuff that we talk about here. Like, English is tricky. We've got 26 letters in the alphabet and 44 sounds.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about how some letters are quite predictable. Like when you see a D, it says D. And when you see a T, it says T. But when you see an S and an H, that doesn't say seh, that says sh. You've got to know how to crack this code in English. You've got to know what sounds to make when the letters are in certain combinations.
Yeah.
Talk about the 20 different vowels and how some vowels are quite tricky. Sometimes you've got 2 letters going together, like a vowel digraph, that make one sound. Sometimes you've got 3. Once again, you've got to know how to crack this code. You've got to know what sounds to make. English is tricky. It kind of sucks. Then there's a little bit of information there about the history of English, how like English is quite, it's a rich language and lots of words have come in from different languages. So sometimes you see a vowel and it doesn't actually look like it makes any sense. Like in the word pizza, E, it's got an I though. That doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
we've got to know lots of things, but we've also got to be flexible. Then we talk about syllables. So to help with our reading and spelling, we use syllables. Do you know what syllables are? Most kids will say things you clap. Yeah, it is, but you're clapping to help you spell syllable by syllable, but you're also clapping to help you identify which vowel is present in each syllable. Okay, so then we're up to 6 different syllable types in English words. So basically all the English words can be broken up. They're English words, not necessarily words that came in from Latin or from Greek or from Italy or France, but the English words can be broken into 6 different syllable types. And progressively you'll learn about all these as you go through the teaching program. But today we're just going to teach about two different syllable types. They're called closed and open. Have you heard of those before? Have you heard of them? Closed and open?
Have I?
Yep.
Yes, sorry.
Did you hear about them when you were in the clinic? Or have you heard about them?
I've heard about them, just previous experience and whatnot. I think I did hear about it in one of the sessions.
Okay, now I've just got to work out where that little video has gone that I had ready to play. I hate your computer. Why does it do this? Okay, let me go back here and let me go back here. It'll be on this page, I think. Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, so this is a little video on closed and open syllables. So then I play this. And I might ask the kids, do you know what this word says? And they'll say, it says hi. Like, okay, what sound does a vowel make in hi? Is it saying it or I? So you can see we're already giving them a second sound for the vowels that they've got.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the structural position of where it is in the syllable. So in this one, it says I. That's an open syllable. The vowel's located at the end.
Open syllable. The vowel says its letter name. I, hi. Closed syllable.
Oh, and now I might ask them what this word says, hit. So the vowel has gone from an I to an it sound. So in a closed syllable, the vowel is closed in at the end by a consonant or consonants, and then the vowel makes a weak sound. So now we've got two different vowel sounds that we can, when we do our cards at the start, we can say closed and open syllable sounds for the vowels, but we've also got some positional information that we can use to teach and for cueing when they're starting to read and spell.
The vowel makes a short sound.
So a bit further on.
Which of these words are?
So I'll pause for this. I don't always use this video anymore though. I just write closed and open syllable on the desk. And I write these kind of words. You'll see the words on the lesson plan. I write hi, no, go, we, so. And then I'll talk about them as being open syllables because the vowel's located at the end and it says its name.
Yeah.
Then I'll write a closed syllable column and I'll use no and I'll turn it into not. And I just take my open syllable and I add one or two consonants on the end and change it and then talk about how the vowel sound changes.
Okay.
So the video is good because like you don't actually have to do anything. You can just watch it, enjoy it, and use that as your teaching point. But once you get good at it, it's easy just to write it on the table.
Yeah.
So I'll stop here, and if I'm doing this video, I'll stop and say, so is this, we've got two different syllable types here. What's an open syllable? Where is the vowel located? What sound does it make? So you want them to use what you've taught in practice.
Yeah.
Then I'll ask them, okay, can you see any closed syllables? What can you tell me about a closed syllable? Where is the vowel located? What sound will it make? Always be careful because you'll find when you've got words like this, kids will want to tell you that's a closed syllable. They're the kids that have got the left and right correspondence issues, the visual processing and stuff. And we always have to go in the reading direction. And your vowel here is closed in at the end by a consonant. So that is still a closed syllable. But they just see two letters and they go, oh, that one's open.
Yeah.
So now we've taught them about closed and open syllables. We go back to, that's the bit I do on the desk, this bit here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'll write he, I'll do a column open and I'll write he, she, we, hi, no, go, be, so. Or sometimes I'll even have them, I'll just put them on like a little sticky note, both of them, and I'll get them to sort them into the two columns.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
The feeling I get from the student at the time and how, if they're younger, sorting is good, but if they're older, time is of the essence. So we want them as fast as possible, but as slow as we need to.
Yeah.
So then we'll do a little bit of revising. So the revising is basically you making sure that they have this concept glued in their head. What sound does the vowel make in an open syllable? Where is it located? You're constantly asking these questions because the more that you can connect that information in their brain for them, the better the chance, the overlearning that they're going to remember it.
Yeah.
So then we go back to now we can do revision reading. This is a normal lesson, but in the first lesson, you've got to teach something before you can revise it.
Yeah.
So we've just taught them something. Now we can go back and do some reading. So words to read. You have a look at the script and I'll get the words out. I'll get the lesson plan out. Intensive. Okay, so they're the words. So you can see from the script that I sent to you, we're going to ask them first. These are some words that we're going to read. And we've just learned about two different syllable types. Can you find any open syllables there? Then you can ask them again, where's the vowel located? What sound does it make? So you can get them to circle. So what are the rest of the syllables? Are they closed or open? They're closed. So you know what sound the vowel's going to make.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the cue you use.
Mm-hmm.
If they make the wrong vowel sound, as in short to long, what kind of syllable is that? So they're using the knowledge that you've given them to help them with their reading accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. What we do here is we read each row 3 times. Now the correction procedures are super important here. You'll notice that over here though, at the bottom of the words to read, it talks about corrections.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how we correct. I'm going to make a couple of this. I'll do all the procedures myself. I'll get myself to read and I'll fix my errors. So I'm going to read the first row. So we read each row going across 3 times. First time we're working on decoding. And then 2 and 3, we're working on fluency. So you hope after the first read, you don't have to do any more corrections because they're reading them correctly. Okay, so I'm going to read row 1 and I'm going to make some mistakes and I'll show you how we fix them. So, hung. I'm going to say, oh, that sound at the end is like in sung. Your word is hung. You want to hear if they voice the G.
Mm-hmm.
The next word is junk, but we want our kids to sound out the sounds because and a lot of them do, because that's where their reading is at, but they need to sound them out in order to orthographically map. Because remember, I talked about the good readers 4 and the poor readers up to 100.
Yeah.
So they need to sound it out. That not only helps them map it orthographically, but also helps strengthen their phonological processing, their connection to from the letters to the sounds. So we get a lot of bang for our buck out of this activity.
Mm-hmm.
So the next word is, it's junk, but I'm going to say juck. J-uck. So you're going to say first sound, j. Blend it together. Ja. Next sound, n. Junk. Your word is junk. If they can't blend continuously like that, they're going to go j, n. Put that together, junk. Because lots of kids, continuous blending is the best practice for sounding words out. That's where you just grab a letter as you go and keep adding. So j, j, ja, j, ja, n, jan, junk. So that's called continuous blending. But in Australia, we don't do that. So unless you get a kid who's 4 years old and has never learned to read a word, your kid's going to want to sound the whole way along that word and then try and put the sounds together. And that's when they drop an ad.
Okay.
But just be flexible.
Yeah.
So it can be j, jan, junk, or it could be j, unk. There's different ways. Just see what works for your kids. You'll practice things and you'll know.
Yeah.
So junk, she, per ink, per ink, pink. So I made a vowel error. I'm going to ask my student, can you tell me what sound this letter makes? Put that sound in. Per, ink, punk. Punk, junk, she, punk, hung, junk, she, punk. Okay. Row 2. Fung. That time I missed a sound. First sound. Next sound. Ooh. Put that together. Full. Read the rest. Flung. So if they omit a sound, you want them to start from the beginning and grab. Next word, I'm going to miss the R. Tunk. No. This is what they'll do. They'll go tunk. You'll think, where did that letter go? So we have to get them to go back and start again. First sound, t. Next sound, put it together. Tur, read to the end, trunk. For spunk, I'll do a different vowel. There's no way you'd get 3 errors in one line. If you've got 3 errors in one line, the kid is not placed in the right spot and they need to move further back in the program.
Okay.
spank. So that will be what surprises you, is they'll say all the sounds right, but when they put them together, they won't, something will change.
Yeah.
They don't quite match. Let's look at this letter here. Look at your vowel. What sound does it make? And they look at you, you've got like in up. Let's pop that sound in. Spunk, spunk, go. So flung, trunk, spunk, go, flung, trunk, spunk, go. Prank, string, splash, swept, etc., etc. So 3 times for each row.
Okay.
As kids get better, the further up in the program and the more their fluency and just their ability to decode speeds up, you might do 2 rows at a time, or you might do 3 rows at a time. And I've got some kids now that do all the rows. They go top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. It's like, wow, that's quick.
Yeah.
The next step that we always do, except for in the first lesson, is we do vocab. So then we go back and ask them if there are any words in the first row that they don't know the meaning of. And generally, you'll know which words they are because they're words that are unusual.
Yeah.
And if you think that they don't know what the word means, if they go, oh yeah, I know all those words, you can ask them, well, what does it mean? Can you read that word to me? What does it mean? And they'll go, oh, actually, I don't know what that word means. Because some it's just, they're used to, deflecting.
Yeah.
School's been difficult for them, but we're trying to teach them. So we're trying to give them that safe environment where they're always successful and nothing's a problem. When kids are reading and they get an error, I don't say no. I say, can you check your first 2 letters, or can you check your vowel? I don't like to say no. I like to just redirect to the point of error, because we're trying to keep their self-esteem intact. Because the older they get, the more their self-esteem has been battered by their lack of success at school.
Yeah.
So we go back, any words in the first row you don't know the meaning of. Hung, junk, she, punk. I don't know what punk means. Oh, punk, that's someone who maybe 20 years ago, they had a mohawk, mohawks are back in fashion, and they used to wear leather jackets and like big boots, and they used to listen to this really loud music. That's what a punk is.
Yeah.
Do the same for each one. In row 2, any words you don't know the meaning of. Flung, trunk, spunk. I don't know what spunk means. Oh, well, spunk can have a couple of different meanings. Spunk is if someone's got like a really kind of crazy, cheeky personality, you can say that person's got a lot of spunk. I'm not going to tell them that a spunk was what we called boys when I was 12 years old. I'm going to admit that piece of information. Row 3, any words you don't know the meaning of. Crank, string, splash. No, I know all those. Row 4, crank, sling, thump, frost. What does crank mean? I'm not sure. Well, crank, that can be part of a car, part of the motor, or it can also be the action of cranking something over. So a lot of kids that have the language issues have only got one meaning for a word stored. So it's called polysemy when we've got, I'm going to say something highly inappropriate now. I love this show called, what's it called? It's not on anymore. It used to be on Foxtel, but it's about polygamists, the one man and the 20 different wives.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I love watching that stuff because I think, isn't one wife enough, really? Why would you want So poly means many. So I polygamy when I write this word. A polysemic word is one word that's got more than one meaning.
Okay. Yeah.
So kids need to know that sometimes words mean more than one thing. The one I often talk about for that is this one. So you get the idea. We go through, we ask any words I don't know the meaning of. Mostly they'll be okay. There might be 1 or 2. If there's more than 2 words or 3 words in the whole set, you're starting to think that they've probably got a bit of a language issue, and you're only going to ask next time you see them for the top 3 rows.
Okay.
Then you go back and say, okay, in the first row, can you put a circle around the word? There are questions down the bottom that Ron's written, but I just generally use my own. Most of them are in my head, or I make them up at the time, because I want to, if they've asked me a question about a word, I want to make sure that at least one of the words that they've asked about, I include a question about. Okay, so in the first row, can you find something that means things of no value? Junk. in row 2, can you find something that is part of an elephant's body, but can also be, well, it's not part of the body, something an elephant has on its head, but it's also the body of a tree, trunk. In row 3, find a word that means it's another name for a joke, prank. In row 4, something you find on the grass on a cold morning, frost. Row 5, I'm probably not going to ask a question about spank. Something you do to your washing so it will dry. Okay. In row 6, an action that you can make with your shoulders to show that you're not sure about something. Shrug. Okay, so that's part 2 done. Revision reading. In the first lesson with CK, you don't do the questioning, you move on to the teaching of the next bit because you've already used some of that time up, so you don't have time. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we've got, normally we do spelling, next revision spelling, but you haven't got anything to revise yet because it's your first session.
Yeah.
So we have to teach them something. So this would be the new sound or the new spelling rule. So in this one, it's learning whether we use K or CK for a spelling choice. So I'll say today we've got a spelling strategy. These are words that are short. They're single syllable words. They're words that you'll know how to read, but you might not be sure how to spell them because some of them have got K and some have got CK at the end, and they make exactly the same sound. Do you know when to use K and CK at the end of words? Probably no. Great. We're going to watch this video and it's going to help us. So that's video number 2 here. How did I make it work last time? Oh, that's it.
There it is.
So clever.
Hello, I'm Norman LaPants, the Knight. I must protect the weak vowels from Gorgo the monster. I will use my special CK protector shield. Some words are spelled with CK at the end, and some have just a K, but they make the same sound. I'm so confused. When should I use my protector shield?
So I'm going to remind them that these are closed syllable words they're spelling because the first thing they're going to see is LI on the screen. So that looks like it's saying lie, but the process is spelling the word lick. So this is also where we can begin to teach them the spelling procedure.
Maybe this will help. Where a vowel is on its own.
Oh, so they're spelling the word lick. Let's tap that out. Ick. Yep, the word's lick. Ick. Okay, so there's only 3 sounds in the word lick. At the start, it, that's a weak vowel, and then there's a k at the end. I wonder if they're going to use K or CK.
And makes a weak sound. It needs protecting with CK. I could see a lonely weak vowel. I must protect the little one from the monster. Here comes the monster attack. Aha! On guard. Take that, you monster. Gotcha. All these words have lonely, weak vowels.
Okay, so I'll pause it there and I'll get them to read all those words. There's only videos for a few of the teaching points, but this one is a really good way to get the kids in. I don't use this video anymore. I just teach it on the desk, but to build your own knowledge and to take the pressure off you, use it.
Okay.
Because it's really explanatory and some kids love it.
Yeah.
So we've got sack, lick, duck, rock, neck. That weak vowel is by itself. It doesn't have any letter friends. So for those words, we use CK at the end. So CK comes at the end of a short word after a short vowel. I wonder when we're going to use K. So that's when we press.
So I have protected them with CK. Remember, where you have a vowel on its own that makes a weak sound, use the protector CK. Where the vowel has a friend, use just a K.
Oh, so our spelling choice is K if the vowel's got a letter friend. So see how we've taught them something, a spelling rule with K or CK, and then we're going to use the information we've just taught them as our point to Q once we do the reading and the spelling part.
Mhm.
This vowel does not need protecting from the monster. Why? Because it has a letter friend to look after it. Watch, the monster will run away. Well, I hope so, or it could get messy. Here it comes. I can't look. All these words have vowels with letter friends.
Okay, so now I'll talk about the first vowel has a letter friend. And sometimes we've got two vowels together. This is called a vowel team. And here we've got a vowel with another letter friend. That's an R-controlled. So our vowel's got a letter friend. So we use K at the end to spell as our choice if the vowel has another letter with it. Now, I'm not going to watch the end of the video with you because that would just waste our time. But right at the end, he walks out and he says, basically his work here is done and how brave and handsome he is. And sometimes I say to the kids just to get like a bit of a take on their personality and their thought processes. Did you think he was brave and handsome? Some of them are like, oh yeah, and others are like, you didn't even see his face. So I just,
Oh, that's cute.
it is cute. Yeah, it is cute. So this is, we're up to here because we're not revision spelling. We're going to our new sound,
Yeah.
and that will be the next sheet on here. And the information is here.
Oh yeah.
So this bit is really important in the teaching process. This is called the multisensory link. So they're going to say this. They're basically going to say what's up the top as they write it. And you're going to get them to say it a good 2 or 3 times before they start to write it. So CK says Kurt at the end of a short word, and I normally do it in that bit. CK says Kurt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. Say it with me again. CK says Kurt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. These 3 lines on the page, they write it on here next. And they say it as they write it. I say it with them because it's the first lesson and you want them to be really good with all their procedures. CK says Kurt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. CK says Kurt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. CK says Kurt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. Now they're going to read some words that have got CK at the end. So we only read these one time because it's the new sound. We've introduced it. Next time when we do the word reading at the beginning, the revision, we're 3 times there.
Okay.
So back, kick, sack. The same procedures. If they say the wrong vowel, check your vowel. If they add a sound in, sound it out again, start from the beginning. Sack. Our word is sack. Good job. Yep. Pick, sick, rock, neck, truck, clock, stick, stock, pluck. And you'll notice we basically go from a CBC structure with the fewer sounds to maybe a couple of sounds at the start. So we're making it simple and easy and achievable because we want success. The concept is CK as our spelling choice. Then I'll get them to read the phrases at the bottom. Pick up the pens, was sick, the big truck, bend his neck. Do procedures in the same way. If they say dend his neck, they'll then go, oh no, that's not right, because we will have a lot of kids that have B and D. So the Q for B is B starts at the top and goes down and around like in boy. So you're giving the keyword as well as the handwriting directional information.
Yeah.
If it's a D, this letter starts like a C, and then you give it a tall back, like in dog, your sound is D. So they're the 2 corrections I use for B and D.
Okay.
So dend his neck. Oh, I want you to check your first letter. It starts at the top, it goes down and around like in boy, the sound is, but put that sound in, bend his neck. Sack of figs, the long stick. I might ask if they know what figs are. You're always making sure that they're connecting reading with comprehension. We don't read just as a process, we read to understand. So we've done CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short sound 3 times up the top. This is the reading part. Now we have to spell. So for spelling, if I'm on Zoom, I'm going to go to the whiteboard. If I'm in the office, I'm going to write this on the desk. So we have 1, 2, 3. They're going to do the same thing again 3 more times. CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. Now I'm going to give you some words to spell. Some are going to have CK at the end and some are going to have K, but you have to decide according to whether or not the vowel has a friend. There's also a procedure that we're going to learn called the spelling procedure, which is really important. So I'll do it with you today, but we use this every time we teach, every time you come in and we do a lesson. So the first word I want you to write is the word sack. You say the word back to me. So they repeat it back to you, sack, because you're hearing to make sure that they've heard it correctly. If they say sock, I'm going to try again. Our word is sack. Sack. Okay, we're going to tap it out. You go in the direction that you spell. S-A-K. Good job. That matched. Sack. Sack. Okay, now we're going to say the sounds as we write. S. S. A. Our next sound is curt. Have you noticed that vowel hasn't got any friends? So we're going to use K or CK at the end. Good job. Why did you use CK? Because that weak vowel had no friends. So you're asking over and over.
Yeah.
You can cue them at the start, like if the next word might be sank. Okay, what's our word? Sank. Now let's do sink. Sink. Okay, let's tap it out. S-I-N-K. Good job. I want you to say the sounds as you write them. S-I-N. Oh, I noticed the vowel's got a friend. How you spell the curt at the end for that one? What word did you spell? Sink. So for the first couple, you can stop them before they do the K or CK, but then if you think they've got it, you just let them go and then ask them why they used that spelling choice.
Yeah.
So we normally have 8 words that we write down in this section, 4 to 8. It depends on if it's just a straight out and you sound like double E in the middle or the end, we'll have 4. But if it's a choice, K or CK, oi and oi, OU, OW, there's normally 8 words to spell. So they spell all the words, then they read all the words back to you, and then they do 3 more of these. CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. CK says curt at the end of a short word after a short vowel. So you can see how it's a no fail. We have taught them and taught them and taught them and cued them, and that's what we're going to use if we need to when we're teaching.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's syllable. Oh no, I didn't change my screen share, did I? I need to So now we've done our cards. We've done revision reading. We didn't do that in this lesson. That will start next lesson. We did our new sound. It could be new sound, or it could also be a spelling rule. And we read and we spelled with that new sound. So we've only got 2 more sections in the lesson to do. We've got syllable division. So it's either revising one that we've learned about or teaching a new one. So today we've taught them about closed and open syllables. So I'm going to ask them again, what were the 2 syllable types we learned about today? Closed and open. Where is the vowel located in an open syllable? What sound does it make? I'll write a couple on the table. In a closed syllable, where's the vowel located? What sound does it make? I'll write a couple on the table and I'll code them with the straight line or the curvy line. So now we're going to learn about how to break longer words into syllables, because sometimes we get longer words that have got more than one vowel, and we have to decide where we're going to break them up and what sounds we're going to make for the vowels when we read it. So these ones are called rabbit words, and there's a specific procedure which is written all the way on the sheet for you. So it's a no-fail attempt for this one. I noticed these words have got two vowels. with two consonants in the middle. So if we've got two vowels that are separated, that means we're going to have two syllables in our word. So first thing I'm going to do is find my vowels. And I'm going to write C for all the other letters that aren't vowels under the consonants. And it just happens, unfortunately, that in this one, the first word has two C's as their consonants, which is not helpful. So if I've got a VCCV, I'm going to break in syllables down the middle. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look and see what kind of syllable this one is. So have you noticed my vowel's closed in? It's going to make a weak sound. And here is my next vowel. It's also closed in, so it's going to make a weak sound. Your first syllable is ik, hick. Second syllable is k, up, cup. Your word is hiccup. We're going to do that for as many on this sheet as we've got time to, because the second page that they can practice for homework.
Okay, yeah.
Now, back to that dastardly schwa that we talked about before. So find your vowels, find your consonants, divide. First syllable's closed, your second syllable's closed. We teach the schwa in lesson 3. So I'm going to touch on it, but I'm not going to name it. I'm just going to give a little bit of information.
Yeah.
So this word here, first syllable is at, second syllable las, atlas. Have you heard of a word? So when people read, they decode it and then they go to their semantic store, which is where you've got all the words that you know meanings for, and go, is that something I've heard before, or is that something that doesn't sound right? So does it sound right? No, it doesn't. It's not a word that you've heard sounding like that. So sometimes we have to do a little adjustment. So instead of saying las, we're just going to go lus. Atlas. Unfortunately, many kids have not heard of an atlas these days.
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of tricky, but we just tell them, so if for the next word, they go V, C, C, V, break it up, closed, closed, cactus. Does that sound like a word you've heard before? No. So we have to do a little bit of adjustment in the second syllable. Cactus. Ah, that makes sense. V, C, C, V, closed, closed. Candid. They wouldn't have known. They won't know what candid is. We do an adjustment. So we're going to do an adjustment here. Candid. V, C, C, V. Kidnap. No schwa. V, C, C, V. Break. Closed, closed. Ribbon. Sound like a word you've heard? So we have to do an adjustment. Ribbon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're not telling them it's called the schwa yet. We're just telling them that sometimes you have to make an adjustment in a word when you say it, because you say it, you check in your brain says, no, that doesn't sound familiar. So you would do a little adjustment in one syllable and you just gloss across the vowel.
Yeah.
If you've got time, you get them to read the first 2 rows a couple of times. Hiccup, atlas, cactus, candid, kidnap, ribbon, campus, talcum. One more time, because we're always trying to extend their fluency from shorter words to longer words. Okay, there's only one part of the lesson left to go. Then we've got, just about my iPad out of the case. So the last thing we've got is sentence dictation, and that's where we're going to bring everything together that we've learnt. So I'm going to ask them, when we write a sentence, what do we start with? A capital? What letter goes? What form of punctuation do we place at the end? A full stop. Okay, so we're going to practice everything that we've learnt today. You're going to have some words that you need to spell with K and some words you need to spell with CK at the end. When do I use K? When do I use CK? You can just check in with them there. What strategy can you use if you don't know how to spell the word? What could you do with your hand that would help you? You can tap it out. So if they get any words wrong when they spell this, you're going to get them to tap it out. And you're going to tap it out with them and show them how this strategy works for them.
Yeah.
Okay, first sentence is plonk. I've just got it. I think it's just plonk the sack on the deck. Okay, so I'm going to say it to you and then you're going to say it back to me. You might find that they can't hold the whole sentence because they don't have that auditory memory for it. So if they can't hold all of the sentence, we want them to do it just in the phrases that you use speaking. Just plonk the sack on the deck. Just plonk the sack on the deck. We don't want to do word by word. We want to build up their auditory memory.
Yeah.
I'm going to do just plonk. Just plonk. the sack on the, and I'm going to make an error here too. Okay, so you're going to get them to go back and read it. Just plonk the sack on the desk. And you decide where you want to start with the corrections. You should not get more than 1 or 2 words wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The kids shouldn't get more than 1 or two words. And then you've got to cue them to correct. Okay, I love you've got a capital. I love you've got a full stop. Okay, let's look at our second word, plonk. Let's tap it. Oh, I noticed your weak vowel has got a friend, letter friend. So how will you spell the k at the end? Just a K. So you want them to rewrite the whole word. Some of them won't want to, but that's how they code it, is by writing it in the letter sequences.
Yeah.
Read it back to me. Just plonk the sack on the desk. That makes perfect sense. But my last word, I wanted you to plonk the sack on the deck. So can you tap out deck for me? De-ek. Can you see that there is no s in deck? Okay, can you try and spell that word again? De-ek. Weak vowel. Full stop. Good job. So they do, depending on time, most of the lessons literally go for 55 to 58 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Work on the timing, you know how it goes once you get into it. But you might get you'll get anywhere between 2 and 4 sentences done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If they've done 4, now I want you to read all the sentences back to me.
Yeah.
Okay, great job today. Let's revise what you've learned. So we talked about closed and open syllables. How are they different? What sound does the vowel make in each one? Where is it located? What position does it have in the syllable? Okay, we also learned about spelling with K and CK. When do I use K at the end of a word and when do I use CK? We learned a spelling procedure. So show me again, the words hut. What steps do we do? Hut, hut. And we divided longer words into syllable. I'm looking for a specific letter first. What letter am I looking for? Vowels. Then what do I do between the vowels? You don't care what's outside, you're looking at the pattern between. I've got 2 consonants. So we call that a V, C, C, V pattern. Where do I break that down the middle? Then what do I do? Check for a closed syllable, check for a closed syllable. Sometimes I have to make an adjustment. Okay, thanks for coming today and I'll see you next week. Here's your homework. So the homework that they'll have, they've got rabbit words. The homework sheet is explanatory. It's got my old business name and my old logo on it, but don't worry about that. This is the important bit, is the instructions for the parents. So up here, I write the person's name and I write the date that I gave them the homework.
Okay.
So they're the same procedures that we use that I want the parents to be able to use. So there's a 4 in a row game that they can play. There are a bunch of activities using K or CK for spelling to reinforce the concept. Then there is another KCK, and then there are 2 decodable books that have CK and K words in them. And you'll notice that.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's also, you've got rabbit words.
Yeah.
Down here, I wrote most of the early books. They're actually they're books that I've rewritten because I didn't like the stories. So I've written most of them up to the top of level 2 and level 3. Yeah, and once again, it's all the same sort of structures. We've got cactus, we've got bottom, we've got clock, we've got socks, think. So it's all everything that we've taught. We're not giving them anything that we haven't already taught them or exposed them to read or to spell.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the end of that lesson. Then I'm just going to show you this one really quickly, the next one, and then I'm going to let you go. And you got questions, think about them now and start asking while I'm doing this. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so at the moment.
Well, it's better that what you do, like the best way to learn is to watch people teach and just
Yeah.
go. It's I can explain until my face is blue from talking, but it's your personal experience and exposure that's going to help you learn about it.
Yeah.
So you guys are kind of lucky because you don't learn this at uni, and I'm a national trainer. Like I'm going interstate for 3 weeks, and I do 40 hours of training with people, but they don't get access to the way I have structured the program. I don't show them that, and they don't get ongoing mentoring from me. They get 40 hours of training, and then they have to go away and put all of the program themselves together and teach it.
Okay.
So, and they pay $1,800 to do that.
Wow.
They get all the resources that I use, all of Ron's resources, but they don't get the benefit of the scope and sequence with what suffixes, what prefixes we're going to use when I start to introduce Latin roots and morphemes. So it's taken me a long time to put all this together.
Yeah.
So you don't just get the program to use when you're in the centre, you also get any support that you need to make sure that you are totally on game and know everything that you need to teach.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go through DGE really fast just to show you the differences.
Sure.
In DGE, we start to talk about suffixes. So we're going to introduce the suffix that shows you an action is happening right now. Oh, let's do the words to read first. So you do the cards. Yeah, I was one step ahead of myself there. So the cards, today you're going to tell them when they do no English word ends in J, you're going to find out what we use today. Still the same rules as before, V with an E, Q with U. But today we're going to have CK. And you're going to ask them. So the CK card will come up. Have I frozen?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
so do the CK card last in your deck, and they'll say K, and you say, when do I use this spelling choice, being CK, at the end of a short word after a short vowel? And if my vowel has a letter friend, how do you spell the K at the end? Just use K. So that card from the last lesson will come in at the start of this lesson.
Okay.
Then words to read. So this time it's exactly pack, truck, neck, sheet. You can ask at the start again about closed and open syllables, but this time you're doing each row 3 times for fluency, and you're asking the questions about vocab, and you're asking vocab questions for them to circle at the end.
Yeah.
They get really good at it. Sometimes I'll ask in rows 1 to 3, find a word that means the opposite of short, something that you use to tell the time, and a part of your body. So you're building their auditory memory for instructions and to cycle that information in. So, yeah, but normally it's just 1 row, 1 question. Row 2, find a word that tells something that you use to tell the time. Then we've got, that will be the new sound, but before we get to the new sound, we've got the spelling procedure. So for the spelling procedure, we can talk about how English is it's a morphophonemic language, which you probably don't need to tell them because it's a little bit verbose. I just got to plug my iPad in. It's gone flat. You know iPad?
No, I don't.
So yeah, I'm going to trust that computer so I can charge it. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to have to rush. I'm on 10%. So this is how we set up the spelling on the desk in the office. So I'm going to talk about how, I could say it's a morphophonemic language, which means we've got morphemes and we've got sounds, but I'm going to talk about some suffixes. So sometimes we put suffixes on the end of words that show an action or that modify the meaning of words. So one is suffix ing, which shows an action is happening right now, and the other one is a suffix that we show on nouns that indicate more than one. So if I've got 1 pen or 2 pens. Okay, then up the top we're going to have the 2 letters that make the sound k, end of a short word after a short vowel. What's our sound? K. What letters do we need? CK says k. Now I want you to put the letter that would use if our vowel had a letter friend to spell the k at the end. Then I think we've got in this lesson, we've got QU, we've got SH. So you say it, they say it while they write it.
Mhm.
And then we've got our closed syllable vowels. We've got at, what's a sound? At, what's a sound? Yeah. Oh. Okay, the first word is chalk. What's our word? Chalk. I want you to tap it out. Ch, o, k. Say the sounds as you write. Ch, o. That vowel's got no friends. So how would you spell the k at the end? Okay, so chalk, I know it sounds like it's short for chocolate, but it's actually an action of when you put some things under the wheel of a boat or a car or a caravan so it doesn't roll away. So that's an action that can happen now. What suffix would I put on the end to show that action is happening now? And now my word is chalking. The next word is chunk. What's our word? Chunk. Tap it out. Ch, ah, n, k. Say the sounds as you write. Ch, ch, ah, n. What word did you spell? Chunk. Well, I don't know about you, but if I have a chunk of chocolate, one is not enough. So what suffix would I put on the end that shows more than one? What word do we have now? Chunks. So we do our base word and then we suffix upon the end, then we get them to reread it. If you think it's going to be a challenge, you can do the suffix in a different color. They can do the suffix in a different color.
Okay, yeah.
Then at the end, so all these, we have to have all the sounds at this point in time that we're using in the words. I just forgot to put CH up there. They spell all the words and then they read them all back to you. Okay, can you read all those words back to me? Chalking, chunks, quilt, quilts, quick. I can't remember the rest of the words on the lesson plan. And then it goes back to a normal lesson plan where you teach the GE, DGE, new share, this one, share. So there's a video, a messy video on GE and DGE, but I just teach it as, I connect it straight to CK. So you know how we learn about K and CK at the end of words? Well, today our spelling choice is J at the end of words. But you're not going to believe, sometimes we use DGE and sometimes we use GE. It doesn't really seem to make sense, does it? But that's the spelling choice we use. DGE says J at the end of a short word after a short vowel. And if the vowel's got a letter frame, we just use GE. So all the same steps. DGE says J at the end of a short word after a short vowel. DGE says J at the end of a short word after a short vowel. DGE says J at the end of a short word after a short vowel. You might find when they go to read, some kids will go, we do tell them the D is silent, but add J, badge. Which letter is silent? The D. Try that again. But J, badge. J, fudge. They might do it twice and then they've got it. But because this is a conceptual thing, for some kids it can be a bit difficult because they're used to seeing letters, like, you know, in level 1, where what they're seeing is what they're saying, and now we're moving to conceptual information. So it can be a little bit challenging. We have to give them a few more scaffolds and supports. Then after that, the next part is rabbit words again, but this time they're made up rabbit words. No schwa, much easier to read. What you're looking for is that they keep Q and U together. When they do the VCCV, they don't call U one of the vowels. Because remember, Q and U are always together because they're best friends.
Yeah.
Then they've got some to take home as well. And then once again, they've got homework. Instructions, and you'll see the books are getting a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We've got K, CK, we've got GE, DGE words. Yep, and there's 2 of them. And that pretty much sums up how it goes.
Wow.
Then next lesson, we come back and we do, let's stop my share. Next lesson is TCH, same process. Revise what we've done to cards, revise reading, revise spelling with the spelling procedure. Teach about CH and TCH. When we use CH, when we use TCH, exactly the same time. Short word, short vowel, vowel's got letter friend. Read and spell with those. Syllable division, schwa. We introduced schwa in that one, in the syllable division. There's a video, I'll add it to the training page. And sentence dictation.
Right.
So the first 3 follow the same sequence. 4 and 5, super explicit. Ed is a suffix, makes 3 sounds. Ed. Hopefully I've got a video on that one. So that one's a bit trickier.
Mm-hmm.
5 is the 1-1-1 rule and the floss rule. So floss is the same as D, G, E, T, C, H, and C, K. You use double F, double L, double S at the end of short words after short vowels, like in mess, cliff, and swill.
Yeah.
Then we learn that we teach the 1-1-1 rule. The weak vowel, single consonant, suffix starts with a vowel. We've introduced some more suffixes, and we're spelling using those suffixes. Then the next week, we learn about, we start to go into vowel consonant E. So quickly I'll explain vowel consonant E, and then I will let you go because I know we've been here for way longer than we were supposed to be.
So good.
Okay, so we've got closed. We've got open, closed, and vowel consonant E. So we've got no, not, and then we've got this, it's called a split vowel digraph technically. And that's not up. Yep, so it was an invention by the scribes in England because people didn't write. It was just the church and the kings who had people who were scribed for them, and they had to invent their own spelling system. So this is an invention that the English created, the scribes. They put an E on the end to indicate that the vowel inside says its name.
Yeah.
Because what would happen was when they were trying to decode what they'd written, they had to try all the different vowel sounds. That's our spelling system is based on. Oh, my iPad is leaving.
Oh.
My iPad. Okay, so have you got any questions?
I don't think so, but like I am like a little worried about like getting used to it. Like if it'll take like a while to get used to it, or if it's like pretty quick. Like I don't know. Like getting used to like the script and like I guess teaching as well. Like yeah. But that's like my only worry, I guess.
I'm just looking for this other. Oh, there's one more video I want to add. Copy, stick it down here. Okay, there's one more video. And that's closed and open. K or CK. Vowel consonant E. So, okay, sorry, I just had to update that.
That's right.
Because I wanted to put the vowel consonant E video in too for you. All the advice I can give you is that you just have to get in and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I'll send you the CK and DGE lessons,
Mhm.
and I'll send you the sound cards for the computer. I'll organise for you to get the ones from the office that I've got there.
Yeah.
But practice on some people. Like, have you got anyone in your house you can practice on?
Yeah.
Practice.
Okay.
Practice makes perfect. And it's just knowing the concepts
Yeah.
and knowing how to teach them.
Mhm.
But you'll get that. And then it's like I've got such a sore eye. I could literally teach in my sleep these days.
Yeah. So much
And
practice.
like that. Like, Tom's been working for me for 2 years, and I think Oscar's possibly coming up to his first year, like to the end of his first year. And if you speak to Oscar, it becomes second nature once you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like any new skill. You've got to get in there, you've got to learn about it, you've got to practice it, you've got to perfect it, and then it's yours.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited.
Teaching is lots of fun.
Yeah.
Sessions go really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally you start the session and then, oh, I'm just watching my dog likes to parade herself down the front yard and across the street, and she's 13 and deaf.
Oh.
And like we're between two bends, so the cars slow down, but sometimes I can get out there and yell, but she can't hear me. I've got to clap my hands, and then she goes, oh, I've been caught on the road again.
Oh, poor thing. Cute.
No, naughty. Okay, Corey's out there, so he's got I didn't realize he was out there. But yeah, it's just like anything. You've just got to get in there, practice, learn, perfect, and then it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And the beauty of sort of the program, the way I put it together, is the first 10 lessons are scripted. They're the hardest bits to teach. Then after that, you're using everything that you've already learnt as part of your queuing. And the next set of lessons are not hard. They're easy as pie to teach. Like they're like a walk in the park. In fact, the lesson plans are 1 page long.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I can show you what the lesson plan looks like for the later on ones. I'm trying to get it back inside. She's like, no, I don't want to.
Oh, cute.
I want to walk up the street. Try and stop me. So this is the last of the mostly scripted one, or like lots of information that you need. See, that's 1 page.
I can't see it.
Oh, that's because I haven't shared my screen. I'm too busy rubbing my eye. Well, I could see it. I could see it, Christy. I was appreciating it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that goes with yes, lesson plan. Oh no, this one. So this is the work. You can see the words are getting longer. We've got 2-syllable words with a vowel consonant E in the second syllable, closed syllable first. So it's still a VCCV, but the second syllable in these ones not closed. It's a vowel consonant E. We've got suffix ed, which says t, d, and id. We've got suffix en. We've got suffix y that says e. So you can see how we're moving them quickly.
Yeah.
And we've got oi, beginning and middle. Oi at the end. Same procedure. OI says, like today our sound is our keyword is coin and our sound is oi, and it's made by the letters O and I. So we see the OI saying oi at the beginning and middle of words. So OI says oi beginning and middle, OI says oi beginning and middle, OI says oi beginning and middle, oil point, spoil point, blah, 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 blah. We've also got our alternative spelling of oi, which goes at the end of a word. So at the end, we don't use OI, we use OY. OY says oi at the end, OY says oi at the end of words. Toy, Troy, soy, hoy, koi, roy. Then we do it on the table. OI says oi beginning and middle 3 times, OI says oi at the end. Then you're going to give them some words where they have to just decide if they're going to use OI or OY according to position.
Yeah.
So there's only a couple of lessons where I put the beginning, middle, and end sounds together as a choice. The other one is OW, OU, and OW. And the other one is AI, AY.
Okay.
Then we've got a new syllable divisions today. This is the first time they do a VCV. So remember we talked about closed and open syllables. So you'll see here when we've got a VCV, the first choice of splitting is after the vowel, which creates an open syllable.
Right.
So we're giving them opportunity to practice a different syllable type where we've moved from the VCCV structure to a VCV structure. Now there's 2 choices for this one, but we do the first choice because there's more words for a few weeks. Then we do consonant LE, and then we come back to VCV second choice, which are Latinate words, like Latin itself.
Yeah.
Yep. And magic. Yep. So yeah, and the same homework, same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You can see in the books we've got all the things have come together now. The words are longer. We've got vowel consonant E, second syllable with suffixes on the end. And I didn't rewrite this one, I don't think. No, that one's just the way it's written. Yep. And there are sentences down the bottom.
Yeah.
And then the lesson after this one, wait till you see how explicit this one is. There's your lesson plan.
Oh, wow. My God, so much more.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's only the first things where you need to learn a lot that they're quite explicit, but then once you've got all this stuff in place, and let me go to this one. Yep.
Yeah.
So basically this part here, that's where you do this bit. Where's my annotating? This bit is where you do, I want to annotate. Where is my, oh, it's because it's right down the bottom and I can't see it. I haven't got my glasses on. Okay, so this bit is on the table. That's the word to spell where you do this part.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the suffixes that you put down the side.
Mm-hmm.
S. Yes, and I asked them, okay, what's the alternative spelling for more than one? Like in branches, what's the suffix that shows you an action happened in the past? ED. Oh, what's that suffix that means made of, like darken or lighten? ER. Suffix that shows you an action is happening right now. ING. Person who does or more, like a runner or hotter. ER. That'll we put on the end that makes it sound E. Y. LY. And then today we're introducing the most. So hot, hotter, hottest. Okay, up the top, we've got E like in tree or feet. What's our sound? E. Say it as you write it. E. So that goes down the side.
Mm-hmm.
This bit goes up the top. And then these words. Other words is right underneath.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the way the rest of the program goes
Yeah.
until we introduce prefixes. So re. I might re-sharpen my pencil. Your base word is sharp. Re-sharp and resharpening. So we build and build and build.
Yeah.
But we don't have re in this one. That's coming in another couple more. Okay. So do you feel confident you can do it? You just got to get in and practice.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I just want to like practice, because then I know that like the more experience I have, like the more I feel confident. So yeah.
And some of the people who started for me, like, do you know Rachel Green?
Yes.
Rachel worked for me for ages, and she was kind of lucky that during Zoom, the first lockdown, she watched me do about 30 lessons.
Oh, wow.
So she watched heaps of my teaching, and actually a lot of the early staff did, but some of them have left because they've graduated from uni. So
Yeah.
they cue the same way that I cue. They use all the same language that I use. Sometimes I walk in and I feel like I've got mini clones all through the office. Not a bad thing. So yeah, it's good to watch other people teach, but what I'll do is I'll send you some of my own videos.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about next Monday I'm doing a dyslexia assessment, and next Tuesday morning I'm doing dyslexia assessments. So maybe Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, or Thursday, because Wednesday I'm out all day. If we could get a time, I'll set up a group chat thing, just a message one with you and Hannah, so we can try and come up with a time so you guys can practice on each other and get feedback from me straight away, and or ask me any questions.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Fabulous. Coming on today, I'll also send you this once it's finished uploading.
Thank you.
I'll send you the recording. I'll send you some Zoom lessons that I've done. I'll send you today's training information sheet, the sound slides that I've got, and some of my lessons that I've done on Zoom.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to have you on board. Oh, and I pay $30 an hour.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because I really value what you guys do for the kids.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, let's get you started.
Yes.
Practicing, and we'll get you started.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'd love that. All right. Nice to see you.
You too, Christy. Thank you for coming on today and for giving up your time.
No worries. I appreciate it.
I will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.